This is they don't mention that they don't mention Krishna's name at all because they feel that okay, mentioning Krishna's name will make it religious or something, but
Yeah.
that's not honest this thing approach, because people need to know from where it is coming and how authentic it is. So for that purpose we established the the literary work of Srila Prabhupada last time. Also, we spoke about his life, how his childhood was very much Krishna conscious because of his father mainly, who was very God conscious person, and he used to host many saintly persons at his home. Then how Srila Prabhupada met Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj in his youth. And at that era was like the India was being ruled by Britishers at that time when he was in college and all that. And before him, India got freedom also. And afterwards, how what riots etc. happened between Hindu and Muslims, and how partition happened, and so much bloodshed happened because of that. All that he saw, and every time he was realizing that it is so essential to spread Krishna consciousness, because initially he had this conviction that unless we get freedom, nobody is gonna hear our message of Krishna consciousness. But his Guru Maharaj Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati established this, that no, the message of Krishna consciousness is more important than attaining freedom, because message of Krishna consciousness is eternal. Talking about freedom of a country, you are again talking in a temporary realm. So that time Prabhupada was very impressed with his answer, and he was little bit convinced also. But now he was actually seeing this before his eyes, that even after getting freedom, there was much worse situation, that people were fighting among each other, and there was a lot of massacre happening. And there was no, so I mean there was no freedom as such seeing at the scene. And then he understood, yes, that Krishna message of Krishna consciousness is more important than anything else in this world, because that is the place of actual freedom, where you are seeing all these temporary things as just passing by things, and not getting much affected, but just going through all these things in a mood of service to Krishna. So that consciousness needs to be developed among the people. Otherwise, they will stay in this material realm and keep suffering, because our suffering comes from our own minds, basically, how we feel about something. So that's what Prabhupada was trying to, focus on, that if our consciousness is fixed on something, then we feel like it. But if our consciousness is fixed on Krishna, then we always know that Krishna is our supreme shelter, and he is always there. He's always supporting us. He's sending help in some or the other way. Even if we are suffering, then actually we might have suffered more, but he is reducing our suffering. So all these things help us to navigate through that difficult situation. And that's what Prabhupada wanted to give us. So that's why I wanted to start with this book, The Matchless Gift. And that is his matchless gift, because nothing matches to this gift that he is giving us, Krishna consciousness. So we read, yeah, we also discussed that how he tried spreading Krishna consciousness in India a long time, for many years. But he did not get sufficient support from the authorities there, who actually had a weight in their say. So he didn't get support from them still. He was doing his writing work, actually going door to door to um, distribute the books, the Back to Godhead magazine and all. And he was struggling a lot. And in the meantime, he was also realizing that he needs to go to the West for preaching, because that was the instruction of his Guru Maharaj, that you preach in English speaking worlds. So that's why he wanted to go. And many people have this wrong notion that why didn't he preach in India? Why did he come to West? because maybe Indian people were not convinced about his philosophy or something. So that's not like that. They were just adamant and they were argumentative. Because in India there were like so many versions of Bhagavad Gita, so they were not ready to listen a new one. Or but Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is extremely authentic, and like he has established what exactly Krishna wants to establish, because Krishna has given karma yoga, jnana yoga, everything in Bhagavad Gita, but he has emphasized bhakti yoga so many times. He has said that bhaktya mam abhijanati. So you can understand me, mam, only through bhakti. That's what he has said explicitly in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter. And he has given this verse twice. He has spoken this verse, manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. So again and again he's saying that become my devotee, worship me. So nothing can be spoken more straight way other than this. But still people don't get this idea that we need to become Krishna's devotees. And many times people challenge, oh, why is Krishna talking like this? What does he want? I mean, this question itself is meaningless. What God can want? Actually, we are taking everything from him, but he is giving us a way to become more happy in his service. Therefore, is asking what is actually suitable for every living entity, because we don't know what is our good, but he knows, right? Like parents know what is the good of their children. Although children will be very adamant at times, they want to do certain things which is risky, and they don't listen to the parents. And that's what sometimes the living entity situation is, that they are just adamant on doing something using their free will in a wrong way. But Krishna has straightforward told many times in Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada has given the commentary of Bhagavad Gita verses as it is. Okay, so he has established Bhakti Yoga's prominence over any other thing, because Bhakti Yoga encompasses everything in a sense. Because karma and jnana also we are doing, like don't we go to the office and we do home chores, everything we are doing karma also. We are reading this book means we are cultivating jnana also, we are getting some information. But ultimately we are not doing it in silos, that okay, I will do some karma and I will get some punya, and that's it, my job is done. Or I will read this matchless gift and I will fill my bucket of information, that's it, my job is done. It's not like that. We are trying to connect with Krishna through all these things. Even if we are doing something at home, we can think that I am offering this as a service to Krishna. I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm doing dishes, or anything. Or I'm going to work, I'm earning money. Anything, everything, I can do it for Krishna. We have to just, that is the switch of consciousness. So it is shifting from myself to Krishna, like that. So, having said that, so Prabhupada has given us the ultimate thing of perfection. If we can understand, we should follow it. So, yes, it takes time initially, but when we start practicing, follow the instructions, at least that chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So, all these things get slowly revealed to us. So we had read page 1 and 2. In that, in summary, we had discussed that how the living entity is pure in nature because it is a part and parcel of Krishna. But when it comes to this material world, so it gets contaminated. And the comparison was given of a drop of a water, means the rain water. So when the water comes from rain, so drops are very clean, but as soon as they touch the soil, they become contaminated. So similarly is our situation. When we come from spiritual world, we are really very pure and uncontaminated, but as soon as we touch the material world, it is made up of three modes of nature: sattva, rajas, and tamas. So we get affected by these three modes. Because you might know, you have experienced this, all of us, that sometimes we are in the mode of goodness, that we feel very charitable, we feel very kind, and we are very in generally happy, feeling happy at that time. So anybody comes asking us something, and we grant them, like kids also come, hey, can I get some snacks, and we will say yes, okay, get it. So that is the mode of goodness. We are feeling happy and peaceful like that. But sometimes we are very pressured because of work or something, that we are struggling. And that time if the child comes, then we might say that, go away, don't disturb me at this point, no, you will not get any snacks. So that is the, you may call it, mode of passion, where we are struggling to achieve something. And third thing could be like, we might hit a person, in so much anger that we don't know what we are doing actually. Or we might sleep for a long time because we are feeling very depressed or morose, something like that. So we all go through these three modes of nature, and that is not actually us. So that is the contamination. So, and then in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that everybody is my part and parcel. Mamaya amsho. Amsha means part. Okay, and mamaya means my part and parcel. So the living entities in this conditional world are my fragmental parts, and they are eternal. But due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. So six senses are like sense of touch, smell, eyes, ears, nose, and sixth sense is mind.
1690. Yes, that is the one. No?
Sorry.
Or maybe that one. See that one?
So then now we can move on. So now this was just the two pages that we read. And there was an analogy given of the gold mine.
There, so I'm taking the car back.
Gold mine and gold particle. So like this is here, the gold is qualitatively. So quality of that particle and the quality of gold in the gold mine is same, right? They both are gold, but quantity wise there is a huge difference, right? So this gold particle is very little quantity, but gold in the gold mine is a lot, right? So this is the relationship of our and Krishna also. Like we are a particle, so Krishna can be compared to a gold mine, and we can be compared to a particle of a gold. So qualitatively we are same. Like we are also Satchidananda. Sat means eternal, Chit means knowledge, and Ananda means blissful. So we are also eternally knowledgeable, and we are eternal beings, and we are blissful always, just like Krishna. But so this is qualitatively we are same, but quantitatively this quantity is very small. Our quantity is very small as compared to Krishna. So that's what we read last time. Yeah, already I cover took a lot of time, but Sri Vidya is joining today, so that's why I felt important to give the.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you. So you both are available to read?
Yes, Mataji, I am available to read.
Okay. So you can start. Maybe we can cover 1 or 2 pages today.
Sure, Mataji. From third page, right?
Yeah. So this is what I'm projecting here, or you can use the link also. So from third page, such a, or maybe second page, last line, so that, last paragraph. So
that last paragraph where it continues.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
When we speak of external energy or material nature, the question may be raised, whose energy, whose nature? Material energy or nature is not active independently. Such a concept is foolish. In Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that material nature does not work independently. When a foolish man sees a machine, he may think that it is working automatically, but actually it is not. There is a driver, someone in control, although we sometimes cannot see the controller behind the machine due to our defective vision. There are many electronic mechanisms which work very wonderfully, but behind these intricate systems, there is a scientist who pushes the button. This is very simple to understand. Since a machine is matter, it cannot work on its own accord, but must work under spiritual direction. A tape recorder works, but it works according to the plans and under the direction of a living entity, a human being. The machine is complete, but unless it is manipulated by a spirit soul, it cannot work. Similarly, we should understand that this cosmic manifestation, which we call nature, is a great machine, and that behind this machine there is God, Krishna. This is also affirmed in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate cha sa chara chara chara
Characharam.
characharam hetunayenena kaunteya jagat viparivartate.
Mm.
This material nature is working under my direction, son of Kunti, producing all the moving and unmoving beings. And by its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Bhagavad Gita 9:10.
Yeah, so
No,
here we can
yes, ma'am.
discuss a little bit if you have understood any points, Shri.
Mataji, I understand that when people tell, like, it's more like telling that a human being all by himself can work,
Mm-hmm.
but that is not true. So
Mm.
everything in nature, not just human being, any living entity, any like non-living entity, even a rock or a tree or a mountain,
Mm.
everything is controlled by Krishna. There is a
Mm.
supreme God, and it's not that they just work on their own and do things on their own. So the nature, the living entity, everything is controlled by one supreme being,
Yes, very nice.
which is
And
not always seen.
yes, yes, we cannot see him, but his presence is we can feel, right? Otherwise, how the
Yes.
seasons are changing and all, how the planets are being in their orbits. Otherwise, everything will just fall, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can still feel his presence. Only the thing is that we are physically not seeing him, and in
Hmm.
that case, people say that God is formless,
Hmm.
right? So do you think
Yes.
that this conception is correct?
No, I believe in God has form. So
Hmm.
at least
Yes.
that's how I like always feel.
Right, absolutely. And this is logical also because even like in other religions, they say that man is formed in the image of God.
Hmm.
So they also have this conception that um, we are formed in the image of God. So he has a form, of course, right?
Of course,
So
yes.
yeah, so uh, although we cannot see him, but he has a form. He is there in his abode, like we live in our abodes in our homes, right? So he's there. And Prabhupada is giving also some analogies. So either Madhumita or you can say what analogies are given by Prabhupada to establish this point.
The one thing is wherein he's telling like how a machine is operated. Like if
Yes.
you see a machine which is working, but someone has turned the switch on, or like made sure that the machine is working and checked every part, and like even if you take like a car,
Yeah.
we see that car is driving, but you see that there is a person inside even now with like driverless one, but you still know someone is charging it, someone is making
Yes.
sure it is moving and controlling it through their
Yes.
technology.
Yes. Means somebody has to give destination at least.
Yes.
Right. And
Yes.
then yes, some mechanism will be there by which making certain decisions. Some algorithms might be there that the car moves, but still there is a human brain behind everything, right? So how can this whole world, material world, can work without that most intelligent brain? It's not possible. So that is a very good thing that Prabhupada has established here. So one point very important last time we discussed is we are part and parcels of the God, and now we are also seeing that He is behind everything, right? So now on whatever is happening, we know that Krishna's hand is there behind everything. So if something negative happens, then how to see that? Now we know that Krishna's hand is there in everything, so but some natural calamities also come. So how do we see that? How do we see Krishna's presence there now?
We get the strength from him to overcome it.
Yes, very good point. Yeah.
And
And
even in like some calamities, you still see like miraculously someone is saved or
Mm-hmm.
someone's house, or like, I mean, they are totally unaffected.
Yes, very nice points. But some people say that why does he send calamity itself? Then how to answer them?
uh, I have just one point that came
Mm-hmm.
to my mind is just like, so if there is only happiness, happiness, and happiness, and there is no sorrows, we will not get the value of happiness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, if there is only just no, there is only a growth of the human being, there is just progress,
Mm-hmm.
and there is no stoppage. I mean, there is something that has happened for the betterment. We have to take it in that way. If
Yes,
something
yes.
happened, people
Mm-hmm.
died,
Mm-hmm.
but you just forget that we are just the bodies. The soul is
Mm-hmm.
alive. That
Mm-hmm.
is his first thing that he is sharing, that if something happened, just the body is lost. Your soul is still there, it will just move on to another body. Maybe
Yeah.
that is for the betterment, or maybe that is something that has happened for our goodness. Just take it in a positive way and move on. We
Yes.
just cannot think that something happened just for the bad. Maybe there
Yes.
is something good in it. Maybe there is some loss,
Mm-hmm.
but we have to overcome it. And that strength, for that strength, Krishna is there. That is what he is giving.
Yes. So, yes, these are all very good and bhakti outlooks, I would say, that we are
Mhm.
trying to see Krishna's hand after the calamity has already occurred, and now how to navigate through it, right? So we are seeing all these points that he still protected certain people and he is sending it for some good lesson for us, all these things. But sometimes people get stuck on this point, that why does he even send it? So here I think that we can, contemplate a little bit on the living entities free will choices also. So sometimes they become so irresponsible in when we say that Krishna is the like Lord of everything, he's the reason cause of everything, then they tend into the going into the direction of irresponsibility, that okay, if he's the cause, then why is he making us so sad, why is he bringing all these calamities, why is he doing this, why is he doing that, so that is not a complete faith person. So they need to understand that it's just not him, we are also contributing into this. So we are also choosing certain things according to our choice that he has given to us, right? So now so much plastic production is happening, and it is being thrown into the oceans, and therefore the ocean environment is getting disturbed, the aquatics are dying, and lot of they are pulling aquatics out of the oceans, and for their sense gratification they are being used. I have seen in Chicago there is a live lobster restaurant where the lobster is directly thrown into boiling water, live lobsters. They
My
they
God.
say on the board outside. Yeah. So this is all such a demoniac means propensities. They cannot understand that they also have pain mechanism. They also feel pain. So if we are giving pain to something, then definitely that pain, I mean, there is equal and opposite reaction to everything. So if we are giving pain to something or somebody, then that pain will come to us in some or the other form. Okay, in some or the other form, it will come back to us. So this point should be noted very carefully. Um, for all such people who say that why Krishna is sending calamities, why he is doing that, why he is doing that. So whenever why question comes, we need to see that how are we responsible for any situation that we ourselves are facing right now. Okay, so uh, anything, Krishna is a very, very merciful personality. That point needs to be established thoroughly in our mind, first of all, that God does not want anything from us because he has everything already. I mean, this material world, which has unlimited universes, the universes are expanding. That is only 1/4 of the total creation. There is a verse in Bhagavatam. And rest of the creation is spiritual, that is 3/4. So you can imagine that we can't count how many universes are there, so how many people are there, we don't know in this material world. But the 3/4 creation means how many more. So he already has, and they are all faithful servants of Krishna. So he already has everything what he needs for his satisfaction, and he is Atmaram. He is satisfied in himself. So why would he want to harass us? That is a very logical question we can raise to ourselves. And he doesn't gain anything from us. He cannot, because we don't have anything to give to him. What we can give to him is a little sincerity, little honesty in our heart, that Krishna, we want to really serve you. Give us any service, little, and we want to very honestly, sincerely serve you. Even if it is a little cleaning, table cleaning service, I just want to make sure that everything is nicely clean. I want to be present. I want to be focused in that service. That's what I can offer to Krishna. That's it. What else I can offer? Yeah, he doesn't need money. He doesn't need our cooking or prasadam, bhoga, anything he doesn't need. But we do all that for our own spiritual upliftment, for our own benefit. Basically, by offering him also, we are ourselves are getting benefited. So these are all things are very important that are taught by Srila Prabhupada. But ordinarily, people don't understand all these things. And that's the reason why they suffer, because they keep asking this question, oh, what I have done wrong? Why God is punishing me like this or something? But whatever the situations have arisen that are due to our own some choices that we have made, either in this lifetime or some earlier lifetimes, we don't know. But sometimes the earlier lifetime actions bear the fruit in later lifetimes when favorable circumstances are there. So we should never blame, and we should take responsibility. And from there itself, even though we are suffering, we are struggling, but from there itself, we can think, how can we serve Krishna lovingly, affectionately in this circumstance also. So a long discussion, but this point is very, very important to be established to understand Krishna consciousness properly. So we will
I
stop
agree to
here.
that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
agree.
it's important.
Really, really nice to listen
Yeah.
those statement.
Yeah,
And
I would have loved to listen your inputs as well, but I'm so sorry. 6:30 the lecture has started.
Oh, sorry,
Um,
Mataji.
no,
yeah,
no worries. I'm sorry. Like, actually, these discussions are so good that we can keep discussing all these
you will
things.
just flow with the time and you not
Yes.
get to know the time is just.
Exactly. And yeah, participants like you make it more jovial, and this is very active participation. So thank you very much to both of you.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for doing it even when you had like other things. Thank you.
Thank you. This is my service, and I like I'm also getting a lot of nourishment because of your association as well. So very grateful in turn. So yeah, please
Thank you.
contemplate on these points so we can discuss
Yeah.
better next time. Okay, so I'll see you
Okay,
on next
Mataji.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Mataji.
you
Hare
so much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
And
Krishna.
Merry Christmas, Chimamanda.
Yeah,
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas. Yes,
Because
thank you.
Jesus Christ is nothing but one of the, part of Krishna, that he has that capability to, uh, I mean, he is just like Sai Baba for us has sacrificed his life,
Mm-hmm.
and Jesus Christ is just like a part and parcel of Krishna only.
Yeah, Prabhupada says that Jesus is a great Vaishnava, so we should
Vaishnava,
respect him
absolutely.
like that.
He
Yes,
sacrificed his life. Just
yes.
imagine how much of
How much
patience you
sacrifice.
need to be such kind of a person.
Oh, Krishna.
Mm.
Really, we can
Okay,
only
anyways.
imagine that.
Yeah, true.
But thank you for bringing
Okay,
that
thank you.
point.
Thanks,
Okay.
Thank you,
everybody.
Mataji. Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Shubhratri. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.